My very favorite part of being on YouTube and discussing movies is sharing those movies that I absolutely love. Those 5-star complete knockout films that can almost change the way people feel about movies. The kind of movies that inspire and move us and provide us with a sense of passion and joy that we really can't recreate with anything else. And so I wanted to talk about the releases so far from 2026 that I've really been attached to. And then later I'll revisit this because I'm making this video late April. There are obviously more to come, and I'll probably revisit this sometime toward the end of the year. But there have been some good ones so far that I wanted to mention. Starting off here with, okay, The Elephant Man hasn't been released yet. It's coming in July. It's been in the collection before. This is a Studio Canal copy. What am I talking about? All right. Honorable mention to a film that I did not pick up a physical media version of, and I'm regretting it. I usually get my guesses correct now, but I didn't know how much I would love Testament. Now, Testament from 1983, this is a story, sort of a talking, at times almost slice of life, dialogue-heavy story about a community that is surviving after some kind of nuclear apocalypse where they have limited information, they have limited resources as a result of this. And it's one of the most tragic and difficult films from ever, especially this year. And I really took a liking to it, but I don't actually have a physical copy of it. And so when I get one, I'll try to bring it back up in a video somewhere else. But I wanted to throw that out there for people that haven't heard of it and don't even know about it. Testament, I did a whole video on that you should check out if you haven't. I loved. But here are the three that I actually have a copy of, okay? That were from this year. And each of these is a 5-star for me, and roughly in the order of how much I enjoy them. Now, I know that Playtime already has been in the collection, but I got a 4K, and I do think that matters. The crisp image really helps make Playtime truly shine and be the special film that it is. I know some of you only have DVDs. However you can see the film, see it, okay? This is Jacques Tati's, as it says, gloriously choreographed, nearly wordless comedy. And there's this confusion in an age of high technology. And Mr. Hewlett, or Monsieur Hewlett, he goes through these different places in this kind of future Paris with all these weird modern touches, these strange inventions and instruments, and he's as confused as we are. But this film, Playtime, this film I talked about in my full review as just being some of the most stunning, like, set design and the kind of film that has such a visual language, such a beautiful texture to it, such a complete sense of world building that you can't not kind of look at it and stare at it. I mean, there's a point where you see two rooms in this apartment next to each other and you kind of have to infer what all the characters are doing. It's hilarious. There's a great restaurant scene where everything seems to be going wrong or is underdeveloped within the restaurant. It is a great scene about working in a restaurant. It is just a fantastic film that it says, with every inch of its super wide frame crammed with hilarity and inventiveness. And that's the thing about this film. This is such an inventive, enjoyable film. And it's really the kind of film that people like me who might call ourselves film nerds, we just sort of like to look at it and sort of behold the technical aspect of the film as much as anything else. I think that really addicts us. And so it's not for everyone because you really have to be into that style of film. But if you're like me and you love that stuff, then you're going to love this. I talked a little bit about Resurrection on my channel and how it had good world building and stuff as well, and how I think that might go on to be a classic. But I don't think there has ever, this was, he like created this huge set, right? And I know some people know a little bit more about this film than I do. I even just love the inside of it, the way it looks. Playtime. And you get a cool little booklet with it. Jonathan Rosenbaum, who's an awesome critic, wrote about this. So it's like kind of a little bonus there if you get to look at his essay. Jonathan Rosenbaum can be a bit of a wordy critic, and he knows he's a good critic. But like, this is quality criticism, quality evaluations of the film, and the Criterion just puts all that together in this small case. And I love physical media. I love whenever I have a film that is this good on physical media that's been preserved. This wasn't even like that popular of a film when it came out, right? And it's slowly over time become this staple for folks who love great films. So I wanted to mention Playtime. If you have an old version of it, let me know. Because some of you, I think, have had this film forever. And someone even told me about it in the comments one day, and I didn't. I underestimated it. Hey, you know what I underestimated? I feel ashamed because I underestimated greatly this Ernst Lubitsch film, Trouble in Paradise. I wasn't even planning on getting it, really. People told me it was good, but I don't know. I kind of looked at it, and it just seemed like, how is it going to be like an old comedy? I mean, I'm not always the biggest on old screwball comedies. Don't hate me for that. It's just the truth. We all have our preferences. This movie, for me, was decidedly different and better than a lot of screwball comedies I've seen. This thing is such a smart, intelligently written, like thoughtful piece of writing come to life on the screen that it just blew me away how much I loved it. And the more I've thought about it, the more I've liked it. And some people in the comments were like, yep, it's really that good. And I didn't, it kind of caught, it was the biggest surprise for me in a long time. And that shows you that I didn't do my research, right? We're always learning more and more about films as we watch them. And every time I think I'm starting to get the hang of being a good film watcher, something like Trouble in Paradise has a lesson for me, okay? This is Ernst Lubitsch's famed touch is an exquisite display in the sexy pre-code jewel, glittering with witty innuendo and elegant comic invention. And it is. The innuendo is really good in this. It's this high society thief, played by Herbert Marshall, and this pickpocket, played by Miriam Hopkins, and they meet in Venice, and these beautiful, wonderful shots in Venice. I mean, who doesn't love Italy? I mean, Italian cinema. I've got Italian cinema over here. Italy's such a good place for films, You've got you've got all the films. What's the name of the Rossellini Bergman set? That's what it was. Beautiful films. Love those films. I always think that it's just such a great... Anyway, that's a great place to start a film. And then they go to Paris and they meet a Mark, someone who's a little bit disorganized with her sort of fortune working with this perfume company. And it's a really, really good kind of love triangle story that I think it's such a poignant observation of human nature. So funny, and I agree. A pinnacle of comic romantic sophistication. I agree with that. Fabulous costume design in this film. Absolutely fabulous. Love the look of it. It comes with an essay. And then all your people kind of holding hands or something here. I covered one of those films. I was covering a film recently, The Earrings of Madame D, or Madame Du. And a little bit of that going on in here as well, almost kind of in the visuals. I don't know. Maybe it's a stretch there, but sometimes all the great films run together for me. But I was watching the film and I constantly took something away from it that was greater and more meaningful than I would have expected. And there's so much heart and soul to the film. It genuinely makes you feel emotions you didn't think you'd feel. Trouble in Paradise. If you want more thoughts on that, check out my full review, because I really love the film. But a film that I knew I would like because it checks so many personal boxes. And I like it better than some people. This actually is rated for some lower than the other two I just talked about. But I really think that The Dead is my favorite release of the year so far. It's going to be the one I'm going to watch the most. Like, I could almost see it being like every few years watching it around like Christmas time or snowy time, because it is just an awesome John Huston film that really got me thinking, really got the gears going on upstairs, okay? It was the last film of John Huston. It feels like that. There was off-screen medical drama there for him, things that he was trying to do to stay alive with filming his daughter. And this may sound familiar to you, but this is from a James Joyce short story. James Joyce, the source material is going to be strong, right? If you've never read any James Joyce, pick up some James Joyce and read some James Joyce. It's really good, okay? It's a snowy winter in turn-of-the-century Dublin, 20th century turn-of-the-century Dublin, There's this huge family dinner. There's wine, there's song, there's poetry read. There's just a lot of interaction going on with the characters, and you learn these little subtle things about their past. Some are drunk, some aren't. And you get a good sense of the dynamics of the family just through conversation. The camera in this just floats around like a... You know what it does? I'm a big fan of The Legend of Zelda, The Ocarina of Time. I grew up on that as a kid. You know, one of my friends was playing, showed me all the tricks one day on my birthday when I got it for my birthday. And then at the beginning of that film, there's this little fairy that kind of flies around and carries the camera with it, so to speak, and then wakes up the dude, Link, and then there's like all these trees, and the way the fairy flew around in that film in that game reminds me of this film, just how effortless and free and fun the camera was for a film that's, you know, kind of about like structure and society and genre. Absolutely loved it. It is aglow with a mix of nostalgia and melancholy, featuring a stellar cast of Irish actors. And I love this sentence. It evokes the passage of time and the haunting power of memory. Boy, does it ever. Almost like very few films make me feel the way an Ozu film can, a Yasujiro Ozu film, the director of Tokyo Story. But this is one of those films where like there's so much between the lines. Sometimes when the characters don't speak, an expression, a look can almost do it for you. And the booklet with this is so cool. Just this like minimal style, you know, it almost feels like you're opening up a piece of literature from like Irish history or something. Freddy's one of the great film characters. He's this drunk that overshares. But his oversharing is still like understated because the whole movie's sort of quiet, like I said, comparatively speaking. And there are a beautiful set of speeches that just, and the ending to this film, like the ending you could think about for days and never really wrap your mind around all the implications. Just a terrific piece of cinema. The Dead, my favorite so far. What are your favorites, folks? You got to tell me. You got to tell me what your favorite is so far from the Criterion. Or if you end up watching this a little later on and something else gets released after the video, you got to let me know. If you like these kind of videos, you like talking about Criterions, good films, classic films, do me a favor, click that like button and subscribe to Cody in the Cinema.